right, topic number 3.
Where's Sean?
No, how much we hate Sean Vanderman. No. What I want to talk about is reviews. It's one of those where Colin and I wrote reviews and did video reviews forever. Nick edited video reviews, made video reviews happen. You review things now here with like Firewatch.
I do.
And now your game, Firewatch, came out this week. What is this? I don't know what it's like to be on the other side of waiting for So you knew the review embargo was Monday, I assume.
Yeah, because we told people when it was.
Exactly. Yeah, you're a small team. It's easier for you to set those up.
Yeah.
And so then what? Do you just sit there? Like, are you wanting to read all of them? Are you going to read none of them? How are you going to handle it? Is everybody together? Are you alone?
I mean, I actually don't know what a lot of other teams do because we picked our whole press schedule because, like we said way earlier, there's not a lot of us.
Sure.
So we decided to give people review copies a week in advance, and we knew that this game wasn't very long, and that seemed like a long time. But I don't know what a long time is for someone to review a game. But who it was a long time for was us.
Sure.
Because we had a game sitting out in the middle of nowhere that people were playing, and then man, Twitter exists, and if you're a game developer, you follow games journalists, and then they post like cheeky stuff.
I'm playing with Redacted and da-da-da-da-da.
And it's like, I know what you're playing because I just gave you the code and you wrote back saying thanks. But I don't know. I'm a person who reads most every review. I also, the same way that I read as many forum threads about a game as I can find. And I know that there are a lot of people for whom that is absolutely not what they can do because it makes them go crazy to read people write about their own game. But I was never really a games writer, although I freelance covered E3 for one site one time, but a lot of my friends are games writers, and I also the reason that I have a job in games is because I was obsessed with reading whatever IGN 64 and Shack News and Blues News and that kind of, like, I read all that stuff.
You're a student of the game,
and I was on game forums all the time, and I ran some fan sites and stuff. So like, seeing what people are saying about the game from the perspective of either critics or fans doesn't like freak me out. I really like it, but I think when I start reading that stuff, my brain like slightly switches and rolls back in time to being a person reading them as a participant in that community. Okay. But then there's also the voice in my brain going, why don't they like it? Why do they like it? But like, it's, I don't know. I don't know what answer you want.
No, you're giving the answer.
What were your?
What do you want me to say?
I'll say it. I'll do it.
You guys are a small team, and you know you've been in a big studio, so you know how it works. A lot of big developers, big publishers will mock review their games and pay a lot of money to do that. Did you guys...
Not only big ones, a lot of teams do that.
I was going to say, did you guys... Because mock reviews do cost money, and if you guys are on a shoestring budget or more of a shoestring budget, you might not have paid for one. So did you guys do that?
It wasn't an issue of money. I just think we didn't want to do it. It's not like... I actually have never had a mock review written about a game that I worked on, at least not one that I've seen. Like, for all I know, when I was at Telltale, they were doing that and then not telling the team, but I don't think so.
You don't think so?
But I also don't know what to do with a mock review because I think, like, you know, everyone talks about playtesting the hell out of your games, and we do too, and you obviously should. But the feedback that you get from a playtester is going to be very different than the feedback that you get from a person who's actually playing your game, which is going to be different than the feedback you get from another game developer who plays it or to a journalist that you show a preview to. And I've always imagined, at least, that when you ask someone to write a mock review, you're going to get a different review than if they were writing the real review. And then because just, you know, when you're playtesting a game, not only do you know that you're playing an unreleased game, but very often the developer has asked you for feedback, or they're sitting in the room. So you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, this, like, we had playtesters say, oh, I was interested in that thing over there, but I knew that what you guys wanted me to talk about was this, and that this was the focus. And it's like, no, the focus is whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But so this is me talking myself into a crazy hole, but I've always wondered with mock reviews, if you can assume more or less that someone's mindset is going to be slightly different because they are saying, oh, I was asked to write this mock review, you're going to get a slightly different thing than you would get in a real review. Then you can't assess it the same way you'd assess a real review, and then I don't know
what's the value.
I don't know what the value of it is, or at least you would have to admit that the value is different than a real review.
I guess I asked that just because was there an expectation of what people would like and wouldn't like in your mind? For instance, the game didn't run very well on PS4. You guys knew that was going to be an issue, right?
We weren't sure how actually, honestly, I don't know what we with PS4 performance. It did not come up as much on the team as it did until right before the game came out. Like I think we honestly did not know how this game would be received. We hoped that because it was like we knew the art. Like I don't know, as a person who did not have a whole lot to do with the art of the game, I've always I'm obsessed with it. Like I'll play the game and just take screenshots and post them and email them out to the team because I just like looking at it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. The acting is fine, whatever. Like there's, this is all fine, but this rock formation is dope.
You
just don't know. And I mean, we hoped that the game would be received well, but we didn't know what specific things people would or wouldn't like. Like as we talked about earlier, we thought that the ending would potentially, people would have thoughts about it. People would have thoughts about all sorts of things, but you just never know where the sort of consensus is going to fall or where specific reviewers are going to land. And it's been really nice that the reception of this game has been it's been as well received as it has been. But it's not like we had any idea what the actual
score would be. Your Metacritic
we didn't know what our Metacritic would be.
Yeah. So were you or the what?
Metacritic, whatever.
Oh, you hate the Metacritic?
Metacritic is whatever.
It's whatever.
No, dude. Okay. No, sorry. I don't have well formed enough thoughts on Metacritic to say anything useful about Metacritic.
You just don't like the idea of Metacritic.
No, well, Metacritic wouldn't exist if people didn't want it to exist.
There's a market for it, right? Yeah.
I'm bummed that there are still large teams that have bonus structures based on Metacritic.
Sure.
But whatever. Metacritic. I can't be a person who says bad things about Metacritic, but then looks up the Rotten Tomatoes of every movie I'm going to see. So
right, exactly.
Whatever. But I guess it's just complicated.
Is your distaste, because this kind of feeds into the review topic,
totally.
which
you're saying I have distaste of
sir. Well, we have. I mean, when we worked at IGN for a long time, we would put review scores on things, and I was actually a huge advocate for getting rid of review scores for many years. I think they're useless. They're totally arbitrary, based on sliding scales. They're not arbitrary within GameSpot's or IGN's or whatever's scale itself. But a 7 at GameSpot seems to actually be way higher than a 7 at Eurogamer, which is a really hard reviewer. And so if these numbers don't sync up properly, then the Metacritic score itself blows up, and that's why I never believed in them to begin with. But do you have a problem with an amalgamation of opinions being boiled down to that one number, or would you prefer it to like me? I always want people to just read the text because you can get out of it whatever you want based on how I feel about it. I don't have to boil it down to this digit.
I would like that, but I don't think anyone's going to. I mean, I think no matter what, people just scroll down to the end. I think, and I feel like I'm talking about things that I have not thought about in a long time, and I feel bad for having an opinion about them because I'm just going to say dumb garbage.
You live your life. You're a developer. You're fine. Don't worry. See, look at it's now. You know how we feel because we always talk about why didn't this happen in this game? Why isn't this mechanic there? We don't fucking know. We have opinions though. We got a sack full of opinions, Colin.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of just know the way that I behave, and I'm a person who will I will sit down and read game reviews for games that I'm really interested in or for writers that I follow. But also, if I'm in a position where I'm just thinking about buying a game, I will honestly still just go and read the last 2 paragraphs of an unscored review and then scroll back up to the top if I thought that there was an interesting conclusion and then read through the entire thing. Or, I'll say, oh, I wonder why they thought that. Or I just won't, and I just won't read the review, and then I'll feel bad about myself because I know that writers wrote them.
You clicked on the page, so somebody got paid no matter what.
Oh, that's bleak. Now who's bleak? Metacritic can exist forever, but maybe... Oh, man.
This industry is bleak. Time you knew that. It's the next topic.
You're listener supported.
I know. We're great. We're fine.
I have to imagine it's hard though, right? Because you spend roughly, what did you say, 25 months on the game?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are a small team, and I can't imagine that you were getting in at 10 o'clock and leaving at 5 o'clock every day, right?
We actually had a pretty good production schedule for most of this game. There were some time, as we got closer and closer to the end, obviously the hours and stress go up, but we tried very hard to live normal lives for the majority of Firewatch. But anyway, that aside, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I have to imagine it's the same with any process like that, any film or movie that a whole creative team works on. And specifically, you guys are really in a movie, there's always the director, the writer, the producers that are kind of shepherding the project forward, and then the big support staff comes on and then they leave, but you're still left with that sort of onus of you put all that time and effort into something, and then to have to relinquish the control to a group of people out there who are really only whose job is just to play it and give their opinion on it must be like fucking nerve-wracking for you. I mean, we have people who are critical of the stuff we do when we create other stuff outside of the reviews and things we do, and those opinions are always, we always read those opinions and try to sort through like what we can learn from them, and I think you guys do too. But at the same time, there's got to be a part of you that's like, fuck, like this is, people love this or don't like this, or like what the, like it's got to be in a range of just crazy emotions for you.
I don't actually know, because I can't speak for other people, but for me, I just like, I look forward to it because I really want to know what the heck people think. And yeah, obviously there are things that you can't go back and change, or you'll read something and go, oh, whatever. But I just kind of like it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, why
would
you? I mean, if you're making a thing for the purpose, at least I can't speak for everyone, but I mean, when we were making Firewatch, we were making it so that people could play it.
Right.
And when people play it, they're going to have an opinion about it. And my hope is that what they have are interesting opinions, whether it's positive or negative. I at least want someone to say something interesting. It's totally fascinating. Like the point of making it is to give it to people.
Right.
And then in return, I get to consume all of their thoughts about it. And I mean, the ones that are the least interesting are the ones where people just get mad about the frame rate or the graphics, which makes me feel like a butthole, because that stuff is super important.
Sure.
And obviously that's also the stuff that you can fix materially. Like we can, if there's a frame rate hitch, we can work on a patch that fixes the frame rate hitch. And that is good information to know, and it's good for people who are buying the game to know about. But the things that like Tom Chick wrote a review of our game that was a not very high score at 2/4 but it was one of the most interesting reviews of Firewatch out there, because he just talked, like, he used Firewatch to talk about what he thinks games should or shouldn't be, or like how Firewatch's success as a video game and what it's trying to do in regards, like, and what that means about what you should or shouldn't even bite off in a game. And it was really interesting. Or like there was a review up on Eurogamer that was pretty positive, but like it was a mixed to positive review, and it talked about the way some of the story structure in the game worked, and talked about the way that the map system worked. And it was really fascinating to hear someone else deconstruct the work that you did. And
that's the interesting thing about you guys. And I wonder if it's, in terms for you, especially since you're here, giving us your opinions, if it's, the reviews, good, bad, or otherwise, aren't affecting you so much, because I feel like you're in this interesting spot where Firewatch, is a video game. This is like when Steve was here talking about when doing the Gone Home cast with me, right? Where I'm like, are you offended by Walking Simulator? He's like, no, but it's like, it also boils it down in a way that isn't like, I don't know why people feel that way, right? As we expand this definition of games, right? You guys are a storytelling experience. And that was the thing of like, I think it was Tim and I talking about it, where he's like, I was going through and it's a mix of emotions. And then it's also like, he was upset that he couldn't run with his map and compass out and stuff. And then he'd get lost. And I was like, I went on that roller coaster with it, where I was like, originally I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Why is it like that? And then it came around, I'm like, but this is how it would be if I really was in the woods. And then is that what they're going for? And then like, how do I go? And, you know what I mean? Is that like how this all breaks down? And like, yeah, I'm not running around and there's not a white dotted line on this, I'm not like doing some holographic thing so I see the path I'm supposed to take to get over to the tower. Like,
you didn't know that if you hold X and B, a little wisp trail shows you
Son
where
of a
the
bitch.
next
Leaves just flowering through.
Just skips a day.
Just a radial fill goes up, it goes, boop, and you're just done.
Oh, good game credits. That's what I wanted. Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like that's the thing is like some of the choices. You're making so many different choices in an artistic way, if that makes sense. I think there's games like Call of Duty that have a story, but we always talk about it. Call of Duty's mechanic based, right? Shooting feels good. How do I use this new weapon? What do I do there?
Sure.
Whereas you guys are like, mechanics are basic, and then you want to run off and do this thing with the story.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let you say that we're making something that's from a more art standpoint.
I
than
did.
Someone else.
It's too late.
Ugh, I don't
You're
know.
more art.
I don't know.
Kevin, put it on the board.
Gross. I mean, I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree with that motivation either. But I also don't. I don't know. My brain is destroyed.
Yeah, it's been a long week for me. But you understand what I'm saying, right? That I mean, rather than pull it towards gameplay mechanic wise, it's more towards story.
But like the flip side of that argument is, you guys, it was okay for you to do it bad because it meant something, which is that's.
I wouldn't say the mechanics necessarily are bad though, but there is an emphasis on like those mechanics are deliberate. They're like the map is deliberate. The having to stop and look at where you're at and figure out where you are and orient yourself to the world, that's a deliberate.
Yeah, but that's also in Far
feeling.
Cry 2. That's in like an open world immersed, like one of the most hardcore immersive sim games ever. That's where we ripped off the map from and the wave receiver. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, we wanted to do stuff.
Sure, but that's a different feeling that the
Sure.
player's gonna
The
get than,
reason,
like,
like for
go
instance,
like there's a compass constantly there, or like there is a path being drawn.
not in Far Cry 2. You just have a map in your hand and a compass in your hand. But whatever.
That's why they dumped all that shit for Far Cry 3 and 4 and Primal.
Oh man, what if you killed a bunch of weird animals and turned it into a wallet for your money?
It's awesome.
Oh, it's dumb.
I love my shark skin wallet.
It's fine.
Oh yes.
Gotta play Far Cry. Far Cry's awesome.
Play the Far's Cry. No, I mean for the map and the compass being a thing that shows up in first person in Firewatch was because we wanted you to feel like you're a person and you're limited by the ways that a person is limited. That's not to say that a real person couldn't transfer the map into their other hand and use the radio. That like was a concession that we had to make, but it at least came from us trying to like all the climbing moves and stuff. When our animator first did them, man, Henry was fucking sick at climbing rocks and like jumping over logs and stuff. And we're like, okay, take the slowest version of those that you did, and that's gonna be the fast one. Now make a really slow fat guy one where he sort of like slumps his butt over it, and that's gonna be the slow one. And like, but like, it probably feels less fulfilling in the moment to jump over a log than it does when you're whatever.
But I mean,
like Far Cry, man, when you're a crisis biosuit,
right? But that's part of the world building I think you're doing. You know what I mean? The fact that and like that's the whole thing is I have ownership over Henry throughout that game.
Sure, it is a line that we have to walk between. Like, is that a thing that makes you feel interested in being that character and makes you feel like you're that character, or is it a thing that makes you just go, "Oh my god, it takes so long to climb over this log"?
Yeah.
And anyway, that's what I think about reviews. No, I don't. Sorry to get distracted.
No, that's how the show is. Don't worry, everybody's enjoying this ride.
Are they?
Don't worry so much. Don't. Why are you so hard on yourself?
I don't know.
Stop reviewing yourself as you do this.
I'm reviewing you.
Shit.
I'm reviewing Colin and Kevin. Kevin's getting like you're at a 4 right now.
4
out of 5.
4 out of 5 stars.
That's
We're on
pretty
the
good.
star system.
We're on a 20-point scale.
Oh jeez.
It also is really helpful to do a podcast every week with my friends who are also game developers, where we talk about other people's games and our thoughts about them.
Right.
It makes it easier, I think, when you're doing that every week to then put a game out and have other people talk about it.
Sure.
Because it'd be pretty bad to do that every week, and then when someone else reviews your game to
Freak out.
Yeah.
It was there.
But also, hold on, one more thing.
Sure.
This game, as Sean said, is selling really well, and it's been reviewed very well, which makes it very easy to just be like, everything is fine.
Yeah,
like whatever.
I was gonna ask about that.
If I was in here like in a barrel, like I'm ruined. I don't know if I'd have the same answer.
They took the house last night.
I think that my sentiment would be the same, but I'd probably be it would be more difficult to be quite as like lackadaisical about it as I'm being right now, because the game has been really well received by a lot of people, which is great.
Did you feel more investment in the reviews this time around than you did with like the Telltale stuff? Because Telltale's a bigger team, or like there's more episodes like we were talking about earlier.
I don't know the answer to that because I haven't quite realized that the game is even shipped.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. You caught us in at the time.
No, that's why I like this. It's interesting to be with you at Ground Zero.
It was a lot
yesterday.
easier to put the divide between the game has shipped and the game is not shipped when I was working at a studio that had its own PR group and its own support group and its own QA team and stuff. Whereas now it feels like we're still in the process of releasing the game, because to customers for whom it isn't working, we are. And so that's how it goes.
Good.
But one day I'll come back, like,
big beard
with a huge beard, and say, I understand it all now.
You'll be here on the Firewatch 2 PR tour.
Oh no.
Is that? I mean, do you feel you've made a couple comments whenever Sean make a joke about Firewatch 2?
No, I mean we'd never thought about what a Firewatch 2 would be. And,
sure.
I think you nailed it. It picks up right where Predator left off. The fucking chain gun comes over.
Firewatch 2, Predator. Yeah, no, I mean
Gotta get back into the jungle.
we honestly just don't know what the next project is. We have some ideas kicking around, but like the Firewatch 2 has never actually been seriously proposed.
How far off? I mean, like again, you're so much in the shit right now, right?
Don't know.
Of QA stuff. Like, I mean, pre-production, all that jazz just happens eventually.
We have to figure it out.
Yeah. A lot of kids were asking about that because they also asked about DLC, which I thought was funny. I'm like, I don't think Firewatch is going to get DLC.
Doesn't seem like it.
The Delilah pack.
There are already 2 collectible hats in Firewatch. We could introduce 3.
Okay. I didn't know about the hats.
I didn't know
Oh,
about
they're
that
stupid.
either.
It's just we put them in because it was funny.
What are the hats?
You can find a Korean War veteran's hat in the white supply box, like the disused old supply box next to the old burned out lookout tower next to Hawk's Rest. And you can, if you use it, the put away is a put on, and then there's a first person animation of him putting on its head, and then it shows up on the. There's a hat peg next to your door. It shows up for the rest of the game.
Nice.
Also in the parking lot. At the very beginning of the game, there's a yellow Cody, Wyoming hat that you can put on, and it shows up on the other peg. So you can have up to 2 collectible
Up
hats
to 2
that you can
collectible
wear.
hats, everybody.
Also, you can wear them both if you want.
So what you need to do is find everyone who reviewed the game and ask them if they got the hats. Because
How
if they
many-
didn't get it, that review doesn't count. That review doesn't matter.
Yep.
What, you blowing up?
I just people text me. I don't know why they want to get a hold of me.
Why do you leave your phone out then? Like,
I
what
don't
do you think's
know,
gonna
I'm an
happen?
idiot.
You think your wife's gonna text that she's dead?
Sometimes no, I don't think she texts if she.
I
I
know.
know. That's the point. That's the point I'm driving home.
Sometimes she texts me things that are important though, like, "Hey, can I pick you up some dinner tonight?" And I want to jump on that because there's a window, 3-minute window. She's at the place.
It's 3:35.
My wife's crazy.
Colin, anything to say about video game reviews before we move on?
No, I think we've said it all.
All right, good. Then I want to let everybody know that this episode is brought to you by Loot Crate. Loot Crate is a monthly subscription box service for epic geek and gamer items and pop culture gear. For less than $20 a month, you get 4 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, and more. Make sure you head over to lootcrate.com/KFgames and enter the code KFgames to save $3 on any new subscription. Loot Crate is more than just a subscription service. It's an entire community of fans that share their experience and interact with each other around the unboxing of each month's crate. And they guarantee $40 or more in value with every crate. Sometimes it's a lot more. Every month there's a different theme and all items curated around that theme. For February, we've braved the dangers of Alexandria and bribed some mercs with chimichangas to bring the finest loot this side of the afterlife. This month's theme is
Loot Crate something.
dead. It was dead and reaches across genres to bring you 5 exclusives, including a t-shirt and 2 figures to celebrate new episodes of The Walking Dead and Deadpool's solo film debut. Remember, you only have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when that happens, it's over, Jack. So go to lootcrate.com/KFgames and enter the code KFgames to save $3 on your new subscription today.
That was the most energetic Loot Crate read I have heard.
Jake, I don't fuck
As
around.
someone,
I'm a
as someone who has
professional.
read a Loot Crate ad before in
Yeah.
his life, that was tops.
Thank
Top
you.
shelf Loot Crate.
Pound it out.
Okay.
I know it's been a long week for you. I thank you for giving us time coming over here to talk about Firewatch.
I love it.
We have one more topic to do, but you're going to jettison because you have to do what now? What do you have to go do?
I have to go home and anyone who's written in about a thing that they've had go wrong in the game, I have to respond to them very nicely.
That is indie development, which I love.
It's good.
You just
It's good.
Can you just copy and paste? We're working on it.
Not
Copy
quite.
and paste. Okay.
I mean, when people
I would
write
have
it,
like 3 canned
when people
response.
write in about the same things, there's like macro tools that'll say, "Hey, thanks,
Oh, good.
send me your save game," but whatever. You know, the funnest, weirdest thing in tech support is if someone gets insanely stuck in a way that no one ever has before. At least with the way our project is set up, they can send us our save game and we can open it up in the editor, fly their person to a place where they're no longer like stuck or broken, and then just go to the main menu and save the game and then email it back to them.
That's awesome.
It's the most magical tech support feeling to have
That's
someone
really cool,
think
huh?
that their game state is totally fucked and then to sit and be like, just paste this over and reload your save. And we fixed everything that's gone wrong. That's really nice. But
That's awesome.
it sucks when you can't do that.
Sure. When you're like, you are fucked. I stole your money.
That's not, no. That's
Send
not
your
how it
wallet.
goes.
That's where you respond, I thought.
Dude,
Campo Santo stole your money.
no. No money was stolen.
Jake, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. Of course, Firewatch, thegame.com. Game?
Firewatchgame.com.
Firewatchgame.com.
Did I ever, speaking of stealing the money,
Yeah,
you liked Walking Dead Season 1.
I did quite a bit.
You know how when you steal, have I told you, do you know
No,
about
I don't know where we're going yet.
Kangaroo Jack? Remember the movie Kangaroo Jack?
Yeah.
Jerry O'Connell.
I don't know. It's back.
Yeah, it is Jerry O'Connell. Yeah.
I think it's
There's-
Anthony Anderson.
there's-
Jerry
okay,
Yeah,
O'Connell.
you're nailing it.
This is the stupidest Walking Dead Season 1 dumb thing.
Okay.
But it is my favorite garbage in that game.
Sure.
The poster for Kangaroo Jack is terrible. It's a kangaroo with sunglasses, like jumping out, and it says Kangaroo Jack, he stole the money and he's not giving it back. And he's got this bright red hoodie on it that says Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So in The Walking Dead Season 1, when you steal all the stuff from the station wagon,
You get that Brooklyn sweatshirt.
yeah, that's Kangaroo Jack cosplay that Clementine is wearing. Fact.
You just ruined season 1 of Walking Dead for me. I gave her that. She needed to be warm.
Yeah, do a Google image search for Kangaroo Jack poster, and then do a Google image search for Walking Dead Clementine sweatshirt.
Well, thank you for ruining that for me.
Oh, it's great.
Jake, everybody, Firewatch.